I got a day off today and I couldn't enjoy it. The second I sat down to rest, my brain started doing the math, and it didn't stop until I got back up and worked. And I need to explain that because if you've never lived it, it sounds dramatic. And if you have lived it, you already know exactly what I mean, and you're probably tired just hearing it. I've been waiting for this day off for like 3 weeks. Picked up so many extra shifts that they basically had to give me a day. And I had plans for it, and by plans, I mean nothing. That was the plan. Do nothing. Sit down, watch something, be a person for one day. I lasted about 20 minutes. I sat on my couch, put something on, and I felt this thing start up in the back of my head that I can only describe as a calculator that turns itself on. The car's making a sound. That's going to be money. The tires are almost done. That's money. Rent's in 12 days. Did I move enough this month? What breaks next? And it's not even loud, that's the thing. It's not a panic. It's just this quiet running total that will not shut off. So I'm sitting there on my one day off, watching a show I'm not watching, doing math I didn't ask to do. And here's the part that actually gets me. After about an hour of that, I got up and I went and did 4 hours of side work. On my day off. Not because I had to that day, because sitting still felt worse than working. Because at least when I'm working, the math makes sense. The math has a reason. Sitting still with that calculator running and no money coming in, that's the one thing I genuinely can't do. I have somehow gotten to a place where working is how I rest, where the only way to quiet the money thoughts is to go make money. I just don't know how to turn it off. And I'm starting to think I forgot how a long time ago. I can't remember the last time my brain was quiet, not relaxed, quiet. Even asleep, part of me is still doing the math. And I want to try to explain what that's actually like, because I think people who aren't in it picture it wrong. They picture stress, somebody biting their nails, panicking about a bill. It's not that. It's quieter and it's worse because it never spikes and it never ends. It's a voice, not a dramatic one, a calm one, almost bored, that just narrates money over the top of my entire life. I'm at dinner with people, laughing, actually having a good time, and underneath it the voice goes, "This is $40 you didn't need to spend." I'm playing with my buddy's kid, and the voice goes, "You're behind on the truck payment." I wake up at 3 a.m. to use the bathroom, and before my feet hit the floor, it's already running, already listing. Rent, tires, the tooth I've been ignoring, the shift Saturday. I haven't woken up into silence in years. I wake up mid-sentence into a conversation that was apparently happening without me all night. You know how a fridge hums and you stop hearing it, until one day it stops and the silence is so loud it scares you. That's the money voice, except it never stops, so I've never heard the silence. I don't even know what I'd do with a quiet mind anymore. I think it would scare me. It doesn't turn off for good things. That's what people don't get. It's not that I'm sad all the time. I laugh. I have good days. But there is no moment, not one, not my birthday, not a good meal, not holding someone I love, where that voice fully shuts up and lets me have it clean. Every single good thing in my life comes with a running total. I'm not broke in the way people picture broke. I'm not crying in the dark. I function. I show up. I'm fine. I just haven't had a quiet minute in 6 years, and I've started to forget that quiet was ever an option. I could stop. That's the thing nobody understands. I could rest tomorrow. I just won't. Because the day my dad's back gave out, the math stopped being only mine. 6 years ago. He was 54. 30-something years of loading trucks, and one morning he bent down for something stupid, a box he'd lifted 1,000 times, and that was it. That was the end of his working life, right there on a warehouse floor at 6 in the morning. And I want to be careful how I say this next part, because I don't want it to sound like what it isn't. Nobody sat me down. Nobody asked me for anything. There was no conversation, no big moment where I agreed to take something on. It just happened, the way water finds the low spot. The bills kept coming, and his body was done, and I was the one who could work. So I worked. That's it. That's the whole decision. It took about 4 seconds, and I've been inside it for 6 years. And I need you to understand something so the rest of this makes sense. I'm not complaining about that. I want to be extremely clear because I know how this reads. If you told me tomorrow that I could put it all down, walk away, keep my own money, sleep like a normal person, and my dad would be fine, I wouldn't even hesitate. But if the price of my rest is him sitting in a house that's cold in January, then there's nothing to think about. There's no version of me that chooses the rest. That's not martyrdom. I hate when people make it that. It's just math with people in it instead of numbers. So when I say I can't stop thinking about money, I need you to know what I'm actually thinking about. It's never really about the money. It's about the fact that there's a man in a chair 40 minutes from here who worked his whole life, whose body is finished, and the only thing standing between him and things getting bad is whether I picked up the Saturday shift. Every single dollar has his name written somewhere on it. That's the voice in my head. That's what never stops. It's not greed and it's not fear exactly. It's just that I know exactly what happens if I do. I found out what my dad actually gave up for us years after he did it. He never told anyone. That's the kind of man he is, and that's why I'll never feel like I've paid him back. I was maybe 24 when my mom let it slip. Apparently there was a stretch when I was in middle school, a year and a half, where he was working his warehouse job and then driving nights for a guy he knew, delivering parts. 2 jobs, every day. I don't remember any of it. I remember him being at my games. I remember him at the table on Sundays. I have no memory of a father who was never home because he made sure I didn't. And when my mom told me, she said it like it was nothing. Like, oh yeah, that's how we got through that year. That's how they talked about it. That's how he talked about it. He worked himself into the ground for 18 months, and it never once came up in that house. That's who he is. He is a man who does the thing and does not mention the thing. He never made us feel poor. That's the part I think about now that I understand what things cost. We weren't doing well. I know that now. But as a kid, I never felt it. Not once. Somehow there was always food, and there was always a Christmas, and he always said yes to the school trip. I have no idea how. I've done the math on the numbers he was making back then, and I genuinely don't know how he did it. I make more than he did, and I feel like I'm drowning. He did it with 3 kids and never let us see the water. And then his body just ran out at 54. That's the payment he got. 30 years of that, and now he can't stand for more than 20 minutes, and he gets tired going up his own stairs. And there's a way he holds the railing now that I can't look at directly. So when people tell me I don't owe him anything, or that I should be putting myself first, I don't even argue. I just think about a man driving parts around at 11 at night so his kid wouldn't know things were bad, and then coming home and being at breakfast like nothing happened. I'm not doing anything he didn't do first. I'm just doing it for one person instead of 5, and I still feel like I'm behind. My week is pretty simple. 5 days at the shop. Saturdays I do side work. Sundays I go over to my parents and fix whatever needs fixing. That's been the shape of it for about 6 years now. It's just the week. You don't think about a week, you just do it. The shop is diesel, mostly fleet stuff. Good money for what I do. Saturdays I take side jobs, guys who need something done cheaper than a shop would charge it. I do it in my buddy's lot or in their driveway. $200-300 a weekend if it's a decent job. That money doesn't really touch my account. It kind of passes through on its way somewhere. Sundays I drive out there. My mom cooks, I eat, I look at whatever's not working. Their water heater is on borrowed time. I've been quietly putting money aside for it since spring. Last month it was the toilet and a light out on the porch. Month before that, the alternator on my mom's car. Did it myself in the driveway. 4 hours. The mortgage is short some months. Not every month, maybe 5 or 6 a year. And when it's short, I cover it. My dad's disability comes in and does what it can do, and then there's a gap. And the gap is mine. Prescriptions when the coverage does what it does. The specialist in the city is a whole day off work to drive him there and back. Groceries sometimes. I just bring the bags in and put them away. So that's the week. Shop, side work, Sunday. That's the shape my life took. I'm 32, I'm healthy, and I have a good trade. The only thing I'd change is I wish I made more. I know exactly what's in my account right now, to the dollar. I know what's in it on the 3rd, on the 9th, on the 15th. I've never once needed to check. I didn't decide to know that. It's just there, the way you know your own phone number. Somewhere in the last 6 years, my head turned into a spreadsheet that runs whether I open it or not. It's worst at night. I get in bed and it starts. Not as worry, exactly, more like a list that reads itself. Truck payment on the 3rd. Card minimum the 7th. Mom's mortgage might be short this month. That's $400 if it is. Water heater, still holding, still ticking. Tires are at the point where I check them with my thumb every couple days and tell myself another month. And then it does the other thing, the thing I really can't stop, which is that it starts running scenarios. What if the truck goes? What if his prescription changes again? What if the shop slows down in January like it did 2 years ago? I lay there and I solve problems that haven't happened yet, over and over. Because if I've already solved it in my head, then it can't catch me. I've gotten fast at it. That's the part I'd almost be proud of if it wasn't insane. I can hear a noise in an engine and price the repair before the guy finishes his sentence. Somebody says the word specialist, and I've already got the day off, the gas, and the lost hours added up before they've finished the appointment date. Some nights I fall asleep in the middle of it and pick it back up when I wake, like a movie I paused. The stupid thing is, I'm good with money. I know that's a strange thing to say for a guy who's tired all the time, but I don't waste it. I don't drink much, I don't gamble. My truck is 11 years old. I could hand you my numbers right now and you wouldn't find a leak. There's just more that needs doing than there is money to do it with. And that math doesn't have a solution, so it just runs. There's a certification I could get that would basically double what I make. It's $4,000 and 8 months of nights. I've had the tab open for 2 years. Heavy equipment, diesel, the mobile stuff, the guys who go out to sites. My buddy did it 3 years ago, and he's clearing almost double what I am now. Same hands, same trade, just the paper. He tells me every time he sees me, "Man, just do the course." And I'm going to explain why I haven't, and it's going to sound like an excuse, and it isn't one. It's just arithmetic. The $4,000 isn't even the main thing. I could get to $4,000 eventually, slowly, if nothing broke. The problem is the 8 months of nights. Because nights is when I do side work, and side work is what covers the gap when the mortgage comes up short. So the 8 months where I'd be building the thing that fixes everything are also 8 months where I make less, right when there's no cushion under any of it. So I'd be gambling my parents' worst case on my best case. And I can't do that. Not with somebody else's roof. That's it. That's the whole reason. It's not fear, and it's not laziness. I've run this 100 times at 2 a.m. from every angle, and every version comes back the same. To get out, I'd have to let go for 8 months, and there's nobody to hold it while I do. Same with the rest of it, honestly. I stopped seeing somebody about 2 years ago, and it wasn't dramatic. She was great, actually. But I was working 6 days, and Sundays were spoken for, and I never explained why, because how do you say that on a third date? She thought I wasn't interested. It was easier to let her think that. I don't have hobbies. I don't take trips. I've never been on a plane. Truck's 11 years old, and I keep it alive myself. None of that bothers me the way people think it should. I'm not sitting here mourning a life I never had. The tab bothers me, though, because it's right there. I could click it tomorrow. It's the only thing in my life that's a door, and I'm the one who can't walk through it. My dad asked me last Sunday if I was doing okay. I said, yeah, good. Busy at the shop. That's the closest anybody's gotten in 6 years. He does this thing now where he watches me work. He can't get down on the floor anymore, so he sits in the kitchen chair he's dragged into the doorway, and he watches. And he tells me things I already know, like check the gasket, and I say, yep, got it, and I let him tell me. It costs me nothing to let him tell me. And Sunday I was under the sink and he goes, "You're looking tired lately. You getting sleep?" And I heard myself say, yeah, good, just busy at the shop, before I even processed the question, like a reflex, like putting your hand up when something comes at your face. Then he said, "Don't run yourself down for us." And I said, "Pop, I'm fine." And I changed the subject to his truck battery. That's it. That was the whole thing. 10 seconds. But I've been thinking about it all week. Because he's not stupid, my dad. 30 years on a warehouse floor, he knows what a tired man looks like. He knows. Not the details, not the numbers, but he knows something. And every so often he pushes on it a little. And every time I close the door on it in half a second. And I'll keep doing it. That's not going to change. Because here's what I know about him. If he found out exactly what the last 6 years have actually been, what I've covered, what I gave up, that tab I never clicked, that man would not survive it. Not physically. He's not going anywhere. I mean the other thing. He's a man who spent his whole life making sure his kids didn't feel it. If he found out his kid is now living the same life he tried to protect us from, and that his body is the reason. It would take something out of him he doesn't have to spare. So I lie. Every Sunday. Cheerfully. I've been asked if I'm okay maybe 4 times in 6 years, and I've had the same answer ready every time before the question finished. Yeah, good. Busy at the shop. A few weeks ago, my dad said something to me half asleep, and I had to go stand in the driveway. It was a Sunday, late, and he'd fallen asleep in his chair the way he does now, with the TV going. I was gathering my stuff to head home. I put a hand on his shoulder to say, "I'm heading out, Pop." And he sort of half woke up, eyes barely open, and he said, "You're a good boy, you know that?" Then he was out again. That's it. That's the whole thing. 4 words from a man who is mostly asleep. I finished getting my keys and I said goodnight to my mom, and I got out the door, and I made it to the truck, and then I just stood there in the driveway for I don't know how long. 10 minutes maybe. Hand on the door handle, not opening it. And I want to explain why, because it doesn't make sense on the surface. He said that to me before. He's not a cold guy. It's not like I'd been waiting years to hear it. I think it's because he doesn't know. That's what got me. He said it about the version of me he can see. The son who comes on Sundays, fixes the sink, brings the bags in. He was thanking me for that guy. And that guy is maybe 1/10 of it. And standing out there, I had this thought that I couldn't shake, which is that nobody will ever know the whole thing. Not him, not my mom, not my brother. There isn't a person alive who knows what the last 6 years actually took. And there never will be, because the whole point is that they don't find out. So I'm going to do this for another 10 years, 20, however long he's got. And the closest thing I'll ever get to somebody seeing it is a half-asleep old man saying 4 words with his eyes shut. And the thing that scares me, the reason I'm even typing this out, is that it was enough. Standing in that driveway, it was enough. It filled me up for a week. I think a person should need more than that. I sat outside tonight for 10 minutes and tried not to think about money. I want to tell you how that went. I came home from the shop, ate standing up like I do, and instead of getting on the couch and starting the whole thing over again, I went and sat on my back steps. No phone. Just sat there. And I told myself, 10 minutes, you don't think about any of it. Just sit. I got maybe 40 seconds before the tires came in, then the water heater, then the third. So I pushed it back out, and it came back, and I pushed it out again. And this went on for a while, and I felt ridiculous. A 32-year-old man sitting on concrete steps, fighting his own head over whether he's allowed to look at the sky for 10 minutes. But somewhere in there, I got maybe 2 or 3 minutes where it actually went quiet. Not on purpose. It just went. And I don't know how to describe what that felt like, except that it felt wrong. Like a hum stopping. It felt like standing in a room where something's missing and you can't figure out what. There was a second where I almost went looking for the worry. Like, where'd it go? Is something wrong? And I had to make myself just sit in it. Then it came back, obviously. It always comes back. And I went inside. But I've been thinking about those 2 or 3 minutes all night. Because I'm 32, and I couldn't tell you the last time before tonight that my head was empty. And that's not a money problem exactly. That's something the money did to me while I was busy dealing with the money. Tomorrow's Thursday. I've got a full day at the shop. Saturday's booked with a guy's transmission. Sunday, I'm out at my parents' and I'm finally doing that water heater. So the 10 minutes isn't a new life or anything. I'm not turning anything around here. I just wanted somebody to know that I'm tired. That's the whole reason I typed all this out at midnight to a bunch of strangers. I only wanted it written down once, somewhere, by somebody, that this is happening. That there's a guy who does this, and it's hard, and he's going to keep doing it anyway. And that for about 3 minutes tonight, on the back steps, it was quiet.